Hey everybody, James Jaguar Tactical Response, reporting from the road once again. As Nate said, not unlike when Good Morning America goes to the Bahamas to host a show for a week, I'm out here on location. People ask me all the time about like parenting advice, and now they're kind of asking me about grandparenting advice and things like that. And I'm a new grandparent, so I don't have a lot to offer there, I don't think. Let's talk about child rearing. Big picture stuff. Number one, you can protect your children from the world, or you can prepare them for the world. Now, typically, in most families, the dad is the one trying to prepare them for the world, and mom's the one trying to protect them from the world. Sorry to assign those roles, but that's just genetics. And there has to be some balance. You know, like little things, like when a little toddler, when a little kid first starts walking and he falls down, you've got to let them get up on their own. The mothers and grandmothers and people that run over and pick the kid up, you've got to stop doing that. You've got to start allowing that child to get up on his own. You've got to. There's any number of reasons why you should do that. So protect them or prepare them. For instance, when my oldest daughter Kayla was around 5 or 6, she came to me, and Kayla was born with an old soul. She was an adult when she was born, like literally. It's really kind of weird, but she came to me when she's like 5 or 6, and she says, "I don't want a bedtime anymore." And I thought, all right, I'll show you, little kid. Here's an alarm clock, Kayla. And I didn't set it for her or anything. I handed her an alarm clock, and I said, "This is your alarm clock. If you can get yourself up in the morning, you can go to bed whenever you want to." Kayla learned that she could go to school. She could wake up with a smile and go to school and make straight A's on 3 hours of sleep. And so any number of times growing up, she's 6, she's 7, she's 8 years old, 9 years old, I'd get up to use the restroom or whatever at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's in there watching TV. Like, and go to bed at 3, get up at 6, and with a smile on her face to make straight A's. Heather, however, was the sleepyhead who could get 20 hours of sleep and still wake up mad. So you guys that got kids, you know what I'm talking about. How do they come out of the same womb, you know? But anyway, so that was the thing. She wanted that freedom, so I balanced it with a responsibility. Like when they like things like driving. You're not leaving this house. You're not leaving this house with a car until you can change a tire on that car. And so, lefty loosey, righty tighty. And my girls had to change a tire in the driveway before they were allowed to leave in a car. Little things like that. Every freedom you give a child should be balanced with a responsibility. Otherwise, they just think life is all freedom. You should never just hand a kid money. Never, 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 never just hand a kid money. It's absolutely the worst thing you can do. Make them do chores. Why don't parents make their kids do chores anymore? In general, I don't understand. Oh yeah, when your child needs his ass whipped, whip that child's ass. People go, "Oh, you can't whip your kids anymore." Well, you've never been able to punch them in the face or make them bleed. That's never been cool. But a swat on the tail, perfectly acceptable. And I was a cop for 10 years. Nearly every child abuse case I worked where a child was struck in the face or something like that was from a parent that did not believe in corporal punishment, and that child tested them and tested them and tested them till that person just got so angry they punched the kid. Almost every child abuse case I ever worked was from parents that did not do corporal punishment. You know, I could go on for days and days and days and days, but as Bane and Gage grow up, Bane was a pretty good walker, wasn't falling down a lot, so I'd knock him down a few times. And people can get mad or whatever, you know, "Oh, you pushed a little baby down." I didn't hurt him or anything. But a child, it starts there. A child, that's the first thing he's going to do for himself, is to get up. And if you're there picking him up, he's going to learn that he doesn't have to do anything for himself. You can say I'm right or I'm wrong, but I've got 2 very intelligent, well-adjusted daughters, Kayla and Heather, that I am so proud of, that are good human beings. They are good people. And that's what really matters. You know, as Kayla and Heather were growing up, you know, I jokingly tell people I had 2 fears, having daughters and then being burned alive. And at least I haven't been burned alive yet. But also jokingly, I said that I had 2 goals: no teenage pregnancy and keep them off the pole. And so in that, I have been successful. But every time you're thinking about doing something with or for your kid, think about, are you helping prepare them for the world? Like, just so you know, when your kid graduates high school, they won't know how to shop for groceries unless you've taught them. Like, find a teenager that knows why you would buy 5% ground beef instead of 80% ground beef, depending on what dish you're cooking. Find a kid that was taught in school how to balance a checkbook. They're not. How to make a budget. They're not. All of these things need to be done, and if you wait till they're teenagers, you're going to fight with them. But all of these things need to be done before they leave the house. You have to prepare them for leaving the house. You have to prepare them. You have to make sure that they are ready to unleash on society, that they understand how to do all of these things that you take for granted. All the little day-to-day things, like going and paying a bill. Like when the girls were little and we had to go pay a bill at the water bill or whatever, we would hand them the check and the bill, and they would go inside and they would pay that and come back out as little kids, because we wanted them to never know a time in their life when they weren't able to do stuff for themselves. And so what we've done is we've built 2 women that literally can take on the world. So I encourage you to love your children, to spend time with your children, and nothing can replace that. But at the end of the day, you're not their friend, you are their parent, and it's your job to make sure they are raised correctly. So if they do stuff that is wrong, call them on it. Do whatever it takes to correct that action. But you're not their friend, you are their parent, and you need to act like their parent. This is James Shaver for Tactical Response, reminding you that your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends.